Welcome back to the Five Guys podcast. My name's Dom. This is Chris, and today we are talking about credit card hacking.
Yep. How do we travel the world for free?
Exactly. I know you've been to Tulum, Japan, Bali recently. A lot of very exotic, very cool places. I don't know too many people that have been to Japan, but you want to tell us how are you strategizing this? How are you doing this? Because you're doing this for free mostly. Right?
Pennies on the dollar for the most part.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we get to travel all over the world. Some places you did mention. I don't know if you mentioned Bora Bora.
Bora Bora, yep. Bali.
Yeah, Bali and Japan we were pretty much able to do for free. Tulum, Mexico was pretty much for free. Bora Bora was a bit more difficult to get that into the free category.
Okay.
So we did actually end up spending that, but that was able to finance Japan.
Okay. Oh, I see. So you're using. Did you guys catch that? I think I'm getting what you're saying. So when you do have to pay for a trip, use your credit card hacking basically to pay for it, which will fund other things.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. I mean, first question should be like, what is credit card hacking?
Yeah.
How does it even work? So what credit card hacking is you use good financial discipline. You use your credit card as if it's a debit card and you're paying it off in full every month. I have to make that very clear to the viewers. If you guys don't have good financial habits, if you're spending money you needlessly don't need to spend to hit minimum spending requirements or just to get a bonus, then you are losing.
Yeah.
The credit card company is winning that way. We want to make sure that when we're spending money that it's already going to be normal spend. So for most credit cards, they require around $3,000 to $4,000 in the first 3 months.
Okay.
Would that be super difficult for you, Dom?
It wouldn't be too difficult. I mean, we could upgrade another camera. We could do a few different things if we need to. If we need to, I think it's like you were telling me. I think last podcast you were saying that if you're gonna spend the money anyways, might as well get a little bit extra out of the money, stretch the dollar a little bit, and get some bonuses for it, get some points for it. So it's like, well, if I'm gonna get another camera anyways, like this camera I bought, I didn't get with a credit card or anything like that, just straight out of the debit card, I could have gotten some points with it. This is before I met Chris. The dark days.
The dark days.
Yep.
It's okay, we're here now.
Yeah, we're here now.
Things are going to get better.
Things are
going to get better.
Yeah. So what is this travel reward strategy all about?
So what it's really about, again, it's about using your credit card habits with a good financial habit to get sign-up bonuses with credit cards. Of course, you're going to be earning rewards, not through the sign-up bonus, but just through your normal spend. But the way that we derive majority of our value from credit card points is with sign-up bonuses.
Okay.
So for example, most credit cards are going to give you somewhere in the realm of a 50, 75, 100. If you're over 100,000 points, get that credit card because that is a deal.
That's a solid one.
That's a solid deal.
Okay.
So typically you're going to have to try to meet that minimum spend requirement, and you're going to get all of those points dropped into your account to which you can use for whatever.
Okay.
Whatever kind of travel you want. We're going to talk a little bit about which credit cards in specific are better than others, but I want to keep this as an evergreen podcast and video so that people can kind of come back, and if our audience likes it, you guys throw me questions. I would love to do a Coach Chris section where I'm just sitting there and talking with our audience and going directly into things that are more specific and maybe timely, because I want this to be someone who can listen to this in 5 years and still go, this still makes sense. This still works for me.
I love that. So why do people need this?
When I look at it as return on investment. I think about that all the time. What is the best use of my money right now? When it comes to credit card hacking, it is a ridiculous amount of return on investment for my money. For example, I have a credit card that has a $95 annual fee.
Okay. So, and is that, for people that don't know, is that high? Is that low? What are we looking like? What's the range on that?
For most people, I'm sure you're going to say, why would you want a fee on a credit card? Like you're using their money. But when you start going into these premier cards, the ones that do give you rewards, most people, I think they're thinking, my credit card's free. It gives me 1.5% cash back.
Yeah.
And that's great for me. And I would say if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. But there is a way to 10x that 1.5 back. So back to the credit card that I have has a $95 annual fee. Once I spend $3,000, I'm going to get 10 or 100,000 points.
Okay.
What that 100,000 points means, I usually try to value at 2 cents per point.
2 cents per point. Okay.
Most places are going to tell you it's 1 cent per point, but we're going to teach you how to double that. You get it 2 cents per point. So that 100,000 points is going to be roughly equivalent to $2,000 of value. And I only spent how much?
What was it?
$95.
Yeah.
So what kind of return on investment is that?
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's pretty darn good. Okay.
You know, when most people are thinking I get 1.5% back, I'm getting minimum 33% back on spending that I was already going to spend.
Interesting. So like, what are some? So to get like you get a sign up bonus. Okay. But there's also like thresholds you should hit, like within like a 3-month period for certain cards, basically, to get an extra 100,000 or whatever their promotion is, basically, right? So there's like spending requirements.
Yeah, so it's a spending requirement. So it's called a minimum spend.
Okay.
So when you sign up for the credit card, it's going to be very clear to you. When you sign up for these credit cards, we're going to go into exactly where I find these deals and where I source all of them. But typically it's going to say, you know, Dominic, if you get approved for this credit card, the credit card company is going to say, if you spend $3,000 to $4,000 on a personal card, usually $8,000 to $15,000 on a business card in the first blank number of months, typically 3 to 6, if the moment you hit that amount, we're going to dump these points into your account.
Okay. Kind of gamifying the whole process of spending money and buying things.
That's what it's all about, is making this a fun experience.
Okay.
You know, I always love the little hacks. It makes me feel like,
yes.
You know, for Bora Bora, it was tough for me to try to spend. I know for our guests, going to Bora Bora is not a cheap trip in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So when my wife came to me with this proposal of, let's go to Bora Bora before we start our family, I was like, I don't know about this. Like, I've been doing credit card hacking for a while, and Bora Bora is not an easy trip to do.
Yeah.
But when we talked about it, and I said, you know what? I can actually use this Bora Bora one to also go to Japan for free.
Okay. Because you're spending the money for Bora Bora on credit cards, basically. Gotcha. So what are some options to meet minimum spending requirements?
Well, there's quite a few, Dom. The first one that I like to do is, like we talked about earlier, planning around a big spending situation. You know, I just gave you the example of me going to Bora Bora. I knew that was going to be a big amount of money drop, so I opened up a credit card. A few years ago, my wife and I, we recently celebrated our first anniversary as a married couple.
Congratulations.
Thanks so much, man. But we got married in Hawaii last May. So anyone that's traveled to Hawaii, you know it gets expensive. If you've planned a wedding, you know it gets expensive. And whatever your budget is, just times it by 3.
Okay, good to know. That's good to know.
It's going to get worse. You know, especially after COVID, it got pretty bad. I wouldn't say times by 3. Add 10%.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So I knew that we were going to be just dropping money. And I also wanted to be sure that with my wedding with my wife that we weren't going to be going into debt. But also that I could maximize this and gamify this as much as I can. So for the wedding, we were able to basically pay for our entire honeymoon, get all the flights out there, and pay for another trip after our wedding, all through credit card points. So we were able to use that time to plan around a large expense.
Interesting. That is so interesting. I've never heard of anyone paying for a wedding like on a credit card and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, of course you have to check with the vendors, right?
Of course.
Some vendors are going to say we want direct deposit, but pretty much I can't think of a single one that didn't take the credit cards. You know, I paid for our videographer, our photographer, I paid for the venue, the wedding planner, everything on the credit cards.
Yeah.
And then, you know, what I was doing, because again, a lot of it comes from the sign-up bonus, right? So most sign-up bonuses are $3,000 to $4,000. When you're planning for a wedding
in Hawaii,
be prepared to drop quite a bit of money. And the average wedding is $30,000. Average wedding is $30,000. Mine was a little bit more than that. So if you can think about it, you know, you can basically get 10 different credit cards and just kind of run them through. So I was doing that. I would get a credit card, hit the minimum spend. I wasn't getting another credit card immediately after that, but you know, in that year while we were planning the wedding, year and a half, I probably went through 6 different credit cards.
Really? Okay. Interesting. So tell me about this one. Buying cards you'll need to spend later. What's that all about?
Yeah, so that's another good one that I like to use. It's just buying a gift card. So
like the ones you see at like CVS, a pharmacy store, right?
Yep, grocery store, stuff like that. You can go to a grocery store and say, or you know, a big one is Amazon. I use Amazon constantly.
Yeah, like everyone
does. Now, I don't like usually telling people to use this as the strategy to buy the credit cards, but if you know you're already going to spend the money and you're going to miss a minimum spend, because if you miss a minimum spend, you have those 3 months to spend that $3,000 to $4,000.
Yeah.
If you get,
I see what you're saying.
If you get past those 3 months, that 100,000 points, even if you spent $3,999. If you don't hit 4,000,
you don't get the points.
You don't get the points.
Okay.
And all that value is lost because now you can't reapply for the credit card immediately and say,
or the promotion's gone.
Yeah, or the promotion's gone, but you can't be like, hey, Chase, I messed up. I didn't hit your minimum spend. Can we try again?
Yeah. There's no restart, no respawn in this game.
Well, after 2 to 4 years, there is a respawn. And we'll talk about that a little bit more about when to maybe cancel credit cards and move it along. But yes, you can go ahead and buy expenses. I typically don't like, those Visa cards you can pay for.
I know the ones, yeah.
Because you can put $4,000 on that. But the issue with those is that there's usually a fee to turn them on, usually like 1.5% fee to activate the card, so you're lost in value there.
Yeah.
The other thing is you need to spend that bad boy down to zero.
Yeah.
I don't know how many credit cards, how many of those things I've gotten over the years.
I know what you're going to say.
That probably have 60 cents on them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to do with them, so I end up throwing them away.
Yeah.
And that's how Visa wins on those. They love those things because there's people that just have $6 on it and then they toss them. But if you're going to spend the money, you can go ahead and do that. Another good one that I really, really enjoy doing, and I tell people all the time, is if you're going to spend money and you go out with your friends, have them reimburse you. And you get to be the baller that throws down their credit card and then Zelle or Venmo them later.
I like that. Yeah. So what you're saying, I like that. That's such a cheeky move. I love it. I love that one so much because you're gonna Venmo them or Apple Cash or whatever, get the money back anyways. Mm-hmm. So you're just saying like pay for the dinner and then they'll Venmo you back or whatever so you can get the points.
Yeah. Let me tell you a story about that. When my wife and I first moved here to this great state of Arizona, I had a roommate. We moved in with a roommate, and that was a way we were able to save so much money and really propel ourselves on this journey to FI. Mm-hmm. Ding. Really propel ourselves on this journey to FI. So when I had my roommate and my fiance at the time, we were still kind of splitting our finances. But what I would do is I would just sign up for a credit card. I would put the entire house spend on my credit cards. And then I would bill my now wife and my roommate what the money was. We'd split it 3 ways depending on what was going on there. Mm-hmm. So again, I was able to use that kind of same strategy just in a different way. Mm-hmm. Just I'm spending the money and then you're just reimbursing me for it.
Okay. So a quick question. Can you use this for your taxes or anything like that? Or
you can. You can actually prepay taxes. I'm not sure if you knew that you could do that. You can go to the IRS and prepay taxes. You can do that on your credit card.
Interesting.
Another crazy one to do for doing that is prepaying your utility bills.
I've heard about that. Like my mom, I know she sends money to the utility company like more than it is. So then when she gets the bill, it's like, they owe me money now. So it's like, or just carry it over. But that's really interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, typically I always say try to plan it around spending. Mm-hmm. Try to plan it around spending or what your friends are doing. And this kind of goes back to some of our previous podcasts. We're talking about spending or tracking your spending.
Yeah.
Because if typically I spend $2,000 a month and the minimum spend is $4,000 over 3 months, you're like, I'll hit it in 2 months. Easy. Don't even have to plan.
Yeah.
But if you have no idea how much you spend in a month, it might be a little bit more difficult. But this could also be something that gives someone the gamification to want to actually track their expenses so you can see how much am I spending? Can I hit these minimum requirements easy? Or am I going to have to look at some of these other hacks, like charging my friends to pay for everything, buying debit cards or gift cards and stuff like that.
So this is for someone who already has a good grasp on income and expenses. They don't necessarily overspend and stuff like that. So this is for people who already have like a good base of financial knowledge, right?
Yeah, I can't stress this point enough. If you don't have a good base of financial knowledge, if I was to give you $30,000 of credit or if Chase, Bank, American Express, and you're that person that goes, I have $30,000, how can I spend it as fast as I possibly can?
Yeah.
This is not the right strategy.
This is not the move.
For you. This will bury you, so please don't do it. But if you already have good financial habits, if you are already going to spend the money, if this is normal spend for you, this is the way that credit cards win. If you look at, of course the credit card companies are making money off of all of this. This is the way to win and to take it back from them. Just look at the size of our houses versus their buildings.
Yeah.
They're definitely making money off it. And that's the reason they offer these huge signing bonuses. They're hoping that you're going to be the person that goes in there, meets the minimum spend of $4,000, and then you don't have that money. And they're going to be paying them interest every year, interest every month to continue to pay that down.
Yeah.
If I can tell you that all the interest in the world is not worth, or all the points in the world is not worth that interest.
Really? Okay. That's really interesting. Okay, so what impact has having multiple cards had on your personal life? Does that take your score down? Does that take it up? Like, what does that do for you?
Yeah, so I've been doing this for a really long time, and I've been assisting people individually on how to open up credit cards, and there hasn't been a single person that I've ever spoken with who said, Chris, you ruined my life. My credit score has dropped 200 points, and now I can't get approved for a loan. Yeah. You know, within any given month, your credit score is going to vary 5 to 10 points up or down. Yeah. You know, just from normal things. For me, when I got started in this game, my credit score is probably like 780. I already had a pretty good credit score because even before I started credit card hacking, I had good habits. I'm happy to say my credit score now, and this is years and years later, hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million points brought up over the years. My credit score is now like an 810, 806. And they vary between there.
That's wild.
Because there's a few things that the credit card companies are tracking. So whenever you apply for a new credit card, you're going to get a hard pull on your credit score.
Yes.
And that's what people talk about when they say, I'm losing, or I applied for this credit card and now my credit score drops 6, 7 points. It's because they did a hard pull. They had to check your history, pull that score and see, is this person worthy of giving a credit card to? And if they are worthy, how much should we give them in that credit card?
Definitely.
So that's going to vary you down, 6, 7 points. And that's going to be automatic, and that kind of hurts, but it really doesn't do anything. When I got into this game, I talked to my fiance at the time. I said, if my credit score drops, 50, 20 points, when I had a 780, does that matter to me? No. What I would say for people is if you have over a 700 credit score, below a 700, this game isn't for you quite yet. Over a 700, now we're able to do it.
And for the people that don't know, like, what are the ranges for the credit score? It's not 0 to 1,000. What are we talking?
I believe it goes. Is it as low as I think it's 300?
300, I think it is.
300 or 400. I don't know actually the low.
We don't want to be down there. We don't need to know about how low it goes because we're not going to go down.
I've never thought about that. No. But I can tell you it goes up to 850.
Yes, that we do know. That's what we're shooting for.
That's what you're shooting for. But I can also tell you that if you're 720 or above,
you're good.
It doesn't matter.
You're good.
It really doesn't matter.
Okay. So
what your credit score is.
I like what you're saying. I'm above 700. I think I'm in the 760s.
Okay, good.
Somewhere around there. Maybe even a little higher. Where do I start from here? I like what you're saying. Where do I start?
Okay. So the first thing to do is to find the credit card that you want.
Okay.
What I would recommend for that is there's quite a few different websites. You can go to Chase, you can go to Capital One, Amex, Citi, and take a look at what offers they have. There is a website that I like to use a lot. It's called thepointsguy.com.
Points guy or
the
guy?
Points Guy, kind of like the Fi Guys.
Fi Guy.
But the Points Guy. Or you can honestly go to Google and put in the best credit cards. NerdWallet has a good one. The Points Guy has a good one. And those top things, all they're going to do is they're going to go to every single bank issuer and they're going to see what's the best one for this month.
Okay.
And then from there, you're going to get to choose what's going to be right for me. And what we're looking for is what has a good spending limit that I know I can hit. And then number 2, how many points are we getting? Because that's where we're going to derive the majority of the value.
Spending. So when you say spending limit, are you talking about like the minimum?
The spending requirements.
Spending requirements to get that extra bonus. Gotcha. Okay. Because I was like, when you said limit, I was like, for the whole credit card?
Oh, sorry. No,
you're good. You're good. I just want to clarify. So when we're looking for it, does the annual fee matter? How much does that matter?
It's all about making sure that you derive value from the credit card.
Okay.
For example, there are really premier credit cards. My Amex Platinum actually cost me $695 a year.
Okay.
That's a $700. That's an expensive credit card.
That's very expensive. Yeah.
So you really need to look at it and say, am I getting enough value out of this credit card to keep it going? Sometimes it's going to be a no. Sometimes it's going to be a yes.
Yeah.
So for someone getting into this game, I would definitely recommend the cards with a $95 annual fee or lower. Because it's kind of a hard pill to swallow if I say, Dominic, you should get into this credit card game. I have a perfect credit card. It only costs $700.
Yeah. That's tough. I think it would honestly be like counterintuitive, especially for me, because it's like, I'd be really, I really got to make this work. Versus like, it's $95. 95 is not that much. Easy hit. And the perks XYZ, no problem. I can take baby steps to get up to that platinum card, So when looking for a credit card, you're talking about under $95 or less, $100 or less for starters, for beginners. What kind of bonuses should we be looking for? Something 20,000 points, 30, 100,000?
I would say 50 is pretty standard.
Okay.
100 is amazing. So if you're in the 75 range, that's probably a go. Okay. But the nice thing about all of these credit card, the Points Guy, NerdWallet, they're going to tell you what they think their best credit card is that month. And you can look at those, and you don't have to apply for a card right now. If you're listening to this, I always talk about what's one actionable step you can do today. One tiny actionable step. One tiny actionable step could be you go to one of these websites and just look and say, hey, this month, the month of July, this is what it is. And then next month, look at August and see, okay, now it's this. Because typically each credit card issuer is doing this every month. And you can kind of see and track and see, where do I want to jump in at?
That's so interesting. That's interesting. I wouldn't expect it to change month to month. So it's it's promotional stuff. Is there a better month than other months, or
it really varies? Typically, I find during the beginning of the year, like February or March, that's where spending kind of drops off. So that's when a lot of the credit card companies are really putting out their promotions. February or March. April, those are the times where most people aren't doing a lot of spending because it's not summertime yet. It's not the holiday season. All that's over. So now credit card companies are like, how are we going to get people? How are we going to entice them to open up these credit cards? Because during the holiday season, they have it easy. They just sit back and then they know that people are going to come and spend that money.
So when I've spent money on my credit card, I've built up some points. How do I redeem the points? That's what I'm a little bit confused on.
Okay. Well, it's going to depend on the credit card. So, the credit cards that I like to tell people to start out with, if you have no idea what you're doing, is Chase.
Okay.
Chase has two really great credit cards, the Chase Sapphire Preserve and the Chase Sapphire Reserve.
Reserve? Oh, I hate that so much.
It is difficult.
It's rough. Okay. But that's good. The Reserve and the Preserve. Okay. So how do I redeem points with this being the card, an example?
So as an example, and the reason I like, before we get into that, before we get into using the reward points, I do want to talk about starting out with Chase, and there's actually a really good reason that I recommend Chase as the beginning. Number one is transfer partners. So we're going to talk about this and how to redeem points, but Chase has transfer partners, meaning that you're able to redeem your points and transfer them to other places. So say you get a Southwest card and you earn 100,000 points with the Southwest, but you don't fly Southwest too often. You want to, you fly United more. Well, guess what? You have points in Southwest, so you better go and fly Southwest. But if you have points with Chase in the Ultimate Rewards portal, both Southwest and United are transfer partners. So you can keep that 100,000 points. Say, I only fly United, I don't fly Southwest. I'm going to put 100,000 points because I'm going to make a flight from here to wherever. I'm going to transfer 100,000 points to there, and I can maximize my point value in order to get that 2 cents per point like I talked about, rather than it being 1 for 1, which typically is in the portals. Another reason that I like recommending Chase, first off, Chase has a rule, it's called the 524 rule. You ever heard of it?
No.
So the 524 rule for Chase, and it's not an official rule, but it happens, you can only apply for 5 credit cards in 24 months.
Really? Really? I did not know about that.
No one else holds that. American Express, Citi, Capital, they don't have that.
Okay.
So what that means is sometimes the best place to start is with Chase. Because say you start with American Express, Citi, whatever one, and you get your 4 or 5 credit cards there. You get 5 credit cards over a year and a half, and then you say, I want that Amex Premier. I want the Chase Sapphire Preferred. If you go to apply for that, you're going to get automatically denied because Chase is going to do a hard pull, and they're going to say you already got 5 credit cards in the last 24 months. But if you start with Chase, you can get, honestly, 5 different Chase cards, and then move on to American Express, and then move on to Citi, then move on to Capital One.
I see what you're saying. So if I have 5 at Bank of America or a different company, or 4, and I want a 5th, and the Chase one is the one that has the best bonus, the best of things that I want, they're not gonna let me because I already have 4.
If you have 4, you're good.
If I have 5.
If you have 5, you're automatic denial.
And that's not a rule, but it's like what you've seen.
Yeah, it's not. I've read the Chase. I've read the Chase credit card things. It's not a rule in there, but it happens every single time.
So that's why you're saying start off with Chase. Okay.
And then in addition to that, when we're coming to redeeming points, I find that Chase is the best one for transfer partners.
Okay. And just to clarify, the transfer partners is like rather than me, I get points and I spend them on Delta or whatever flight, I can use that for any flight, right? Or could you go back into that transfer partners, because I think I'm still a little bit confused.
That's okay. That's easy. So when you're looking at the Chase Ultimate Rewards portal, you have Ultimate Rewards. Now you can go and you can book directly through Chase.
Okay.
So you could go through Chase and you could say, hey, I want to fly from here to here. And then Chase, kind of like Expedia, will drop a bunch of different options with different carriers. And then you can say, you know what, hey, this American one looks pretty good. It's only 30,000 points. And then you can go ahead and book that through Chase with the Ultimate Rewards.
Okay.
Another option would be, you're booking through Chase here. Say you wanted that American flight for 30,000 points. You could actually go to American's website, go to that exact same flight, and see how much would it cost in American miles.
Yeah.
Typically, a lot of these companies, they want to reward people that are part of their loyalty programs. You know, just because you have a Chase card, American Airlines doesn't care about that.
No.
But if you open an American Airlines account, which is pretty simple, you just go there, you put in your email, and you say, this is my password, and they give you an account number. You're now able to link that to your Chase Ultimate Rewards portal, and then do a transfer automatically. Typically, all you do is you'll go to Chase, say, I want to transfer to American Airlines. From there, you say transfer 30,000 points from here to American, click submit, refresh your page. American Express now has 30,000 points inside there. And now you're able to use that to book immediately. But here's the rub. 30,000 points would have been if you book through Chase, the Ultimate Rewards portal. If you go directly to American, typically that 30,000 points would be now 20,000 points, 15,000 points. And now we're able to redeem at a much higher value because they're trying to reward you for flying with American with their points. Because the way that they looked at it is that you earned their points in their ecosystem by spending money in their ecosystem. They don't know that you transferred it from your credit card.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I think it's definitely like one of those things where it's like, once you do it once or twice, you're like, oh, this makes total sense, basically, because you're just using points not from your Chase. You're using points inside the American Airlines system, basically, and they're rewarding you for using their system. But they don't know, because that's the transferring. So do all credit cards have that transfer aspect, or is it just certain credit cards or companies? Or
the more premier ones have it. So Chase is really, really great. They have so many. I think they have like 14 different transfer partners. American Express is also a really good one that has transfer partners. So does Citi. It depends on the credit card you're looking for. But if you're going to start getting branded credit cards, you know, a credit card that I have is the Southwest Rapid Rewards credit card.
So when you say branded, a non-bank credit card, right?
It's still done through Chase.
Yes.
It's a Chase credit card, but it's a branded card.
Branded, gotcha.
For Southwest.
So like a Disney card through Chase, right? If that was a thing. If that was a thing. Okay.
That would only usually be applied to Disney accounts.
Gotcha. Okay, that's really interesting. So, do you ever cancel any of the credit cards? How does that work? Like, what's the exit strategy?
There is an exit strategy for these credit cards. Again, it comes down to value. If I'm no longer getting value on the credit cards, and this is something that unfortunately most credit card people, if you're watching and going on down the YouTube rabbit hole to see what are we doing with credit cards, they don't talk about this aspect. They don't talk about what do we do once we're no longer getting value from these credit cards. So there's a few different things you can do. Again, we need to first see, am I getting value from the credit card? And you need to make that determination for yourself. There are some credit cards like my Amex Platinum. You know, I get a bunch of different. It's kind of like a coupon card, where you can get money off Saks on Fifth. You can get money off of going to Equinox Gym. I don't go to Equinox Gym. I don't shop at Saks on Fifth. So I have to look at that credit card with a very, very skeptical eye and say, is this something that I want to keep? And if it isn't, there's always different options we can do. The first option is retention offers.
Okay.
So what you can do is, after a year of having the credit card open, you're going to get that annual fee that's going to hit your credit card again. So say I have the Amex Platinum. I opened it last year. They charged me $700. Now a year later, they're going to charge me on around the same date that I opened it, another $700. Typically what I would do at that point is I would go ahead and call American Express, or even chat with them
through like their portal.
Through their portal.
Yeah.
And then let them know, hey, I've been a loyal customer with you guys for over a year now. I'm just not seeing value on this credit card anymore. And typically, American Express and every other credit card company, they want you to keep your credit card open because there's a better chance that you're going to mess up and then start spending money.
Yeah.
So typically, they'll give something called a credit card retention offer. So for me, this last year, with my American Express, I came to the point that I said, this is not adding value for me. It adds a good amount of value. I would say probably like $400 to $500 of value, but that's not $700 worth of what I spend.
Gotcha.
So I reached out to American Express and I chatted with them on their mobile app. I told them, hey, I really enjoy your guys' product, but I'm just not seeing value. Went back and forth with the agent a little bit about different things. By the end of it, the agent actually offered me, how about this? If you spend $5,000 in the next 3 months, we'll give you $500 credit back.
Okay.
So
I see.
So I knew that I could do that. I can spend $5,000 in 3 months. That's not going to be too big of a deal. And now that took my $700 statement or $700 annual fee down to $200. But I'm usually getting around $400 to $500 in value in it. So for me, that is now a positive, and I'm going to go ahead and keep that credit card for another year. Now next year we're going to probably have to go to another retention offer or see what's going on. So that's one option is call a credit card company after the first year, after you got hit, and then see, are you guys willing to work with me? Sometimes they'll retention offer with points, a retention offer with a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So could you like get the retention offer beforehand and like
cancel immediately?
Yeah, or kind of like negotiate it before the charge comes through.
You can, but typically they're going to be less willing to play that game because they haven't made their money. You know, it's human intuition we're gonna value our losses more than we do our gains. So that's what we're always caring about is we don't want to lose money. We don't care as much about gaining money as we do as not losing what we have.
Gotcha.
So if you go to a credit card company before your spending comes in and you say, hey, I know you guys are going to charge me on this day. I don't want to pay it unless you guys give me something. Most of them are going to say, okay, you can go.
Gotcha.
But if you wait, they made their $700. Now you tell them, I want to go. Because typically they're going to give you 45 to 60 days from that hit, that if you cancel within those 45 to 60 days, they're going to give you a full refund.
That's nice. That's good. That's good.
So that's a huge thing. So I would say always wait till right after it happens. You still have that 45 to 60 days. Do it sooner rather than later so you don't forget. And then you're going to call them or chat with them and then see what kind of retention offers can they offer you and is that going to offset the value.
And when you cancel a card, you lose the credits in the card as well. You can't transfer them out.
So if you're something in Chase or Amex, yes, if it's tied to that credit card, then it is. But what you should do, if that's what you're going to end up doing, you're going to end up canceling this credit card for whatever reason, transfer those to another place. Transfer them to Southwest. Transfer them to wherever you typically fly with, Marriott. Transfer them there first, because once you cancel those credit cards, those points are going to go away with them.
Okay.
Which leads me to my second option for retention offers, or for what to do when a card's no longer offering you value.
Yeah, what you got?
You can always ask to downgrade.
Okay.
A lot of credit cards have lower tier cards that have 0 annual fees.
Okay.
For example, we talked about the Chase Preserve and Reserve.
Yeah.
When I had my Chase card, I was going to cancel it. I asked for a retention offer. They weren't really willing to play that game with me at the time. I think I've already had it for like 4 or 5 years, so they've got enough out of me. So I said, okay, well, what else can we do? And they said, how about this? How about you go ahead and downgrade from the Chase card that you currently have, which was the Premier, which is $500 a year, to the Freedom Unlimited, which is a $0 annual fee. It allowed me to retain my points, retain that credit history that I had on the card, and retain my credit utilization. So how much credit I have available to me, and I just downgraded the card.
And you get no fee.
Yep, I have no fee. And now in a few years, I'll be able to, actually next year, I'll be able to reapply for the Chase Sapphire. Because that one...
Because the 2-year rule.
That one's every 4 years.
4 years. Okay.
Yeah, we can go... And if our audience wants us to, or wants me to, I'd be happy to go deeper into each specific credit card. I think we're just kind of going to lose it, past that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about it. You kind of have to, you'd almost have to like show them on a screen and like give examples and stuff. And that's something we could do down the line maybe, but That is really interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. But then preventing the loss of points, it's very, very important that if we're going to downgrade a card or we're going to cancel a card, that we either use all the points inside there or we get them out and go to a different partner that is going to retain those points.
Okay. Well, that's very exciting. Yeah, no, that makes the most sense. You wouldn't want to lose points you've already worked for, you know?
Yeah, you already spent the money. You already have the points. Why lose?
Why give them up? Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Why give free value away?
Yeah. I think that's a solid... I think all of this is very solid information, you know, the nerd wallet stuff. We're not going to try this if we are not financially literate and making good financial decisions, obviously. This is for not just... This is like, you know, we've already learned how to walk. This is when we're starting to run and really optimize our spending to get the most out of it.
We're probably talking like high school level at this point.
Yeah. Not, and if you're not if you're not at that level, that's okay. You know, and all of us are, financially geniuses. You know, we all got to start somewhere. But just getting your feet wet and getting into like nerdwallet.com and the other site, the Points Guy.
The Points Guy.
Guy.com and just checking it out, getting your feet wet, just stepping in the arena. You don't have to sign up for anything. Just looking around, seeing what kind of offers are out there. Like looking at it and be like, oh, here's a yearly fee. Chris talked about that. Dom talked about that. That I now see what they're talking about, and just getting in the arena. I feel like a lot of the problem with people in finance today, it's like, I'm kind of a little bit scared to start, so I just won't start. But if you just take one little leap, it doesn't have to be a big leap, just take a look. And you'll be like, oh, this isn't that scary. This ain't too bad, So
yeah. I'll tell you a story about a friend of mine recently who actually signed up for her first travel rewards card. She came to me and she talked to me about this at length for months. Well, what if this happened? What if this happened? What if this happened? And eventually she finally I told her, like, just try it. Just try a credit card. We ended up getting her on the Venture card, which is a $95 fee, gave her 100,000 points. She was like, I don't know if I can hit that spending limit. And I told her, I said, do you ever track your spending? She said, well, I've never done that before. And I went, well, I think you probably can based off what I see you and your husband spending a month.
Yeah.
And she said, okay. So she finally went in and did it. She committed to just getting it done. She applied for the credit card. Within 3 days, she texts me back and she says, hey, Chris, so good news. I have my 75,000 points. I spent my $4,000 in a matter of days. And now her and her fiance are actually planning their vacation to Florida to go to Walt Disney World.
I love that.
Yep. And they're going to be using the points that they earned to get the flights out there and maybe a little bit of their hotel as well.
That's sweet. Gosh, that's exciting. Everybody wants to go to Disney World. I like Disney World.
And that's a really big point that I like to talk about with credit cards, credit card hacking, and using these for travel rewards. It's about creating memory dividends for you and your loved ones. Everyone wishes that they could take a trip a year and go do something really, really fun. With credit card hacking, you can do that one trip a year. Shoot, me and my wife, we're doing like 2 to 3 big trips a year.
Yeah.
And that's something we're going to talk about on future episodes, talking about playing this game in 2-player mode. Because if you're married or you have a partner that's significant to you, what I would recommend is, and this is just going to be a quick preview, don't add them as an authorized user to the card. Do whatever you're doing and then have them do the exact same thing.
Interesting.
On their end, and now we can start to, instead of earning 100,000 points, we just earn 200,000 points.
Yeah.
And now you can combine them together by transferring within a household or transferring to people, and we can start to really blow this game out of the water real fast.
That's exciting. Well, I'm excited for next episode. I think this episode was a smash, and I appreciate you sharing your knowledge about credit card hacking, and I think that's pretty much it. You got any final words for the viewers?
Just remember, guys, I always talk about it. You are the aggregate of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So please look for people in your life that can make your life better. Dom and I, we make up one person together. We can call us both half a person. So that person doesn't need to be with you physically in the real world. It can just be somebody that you're listening to that gives you inspiration. And we hope to be that person to you. So please hit that subscribe button so you never miss a future episode. We're always going to be here for you to continue to give you fun hacks that's going to make your life better.
Awesome. Later, guys.
Thanks, guys.